So the first thing, we will see the video, then we will have the fill in the gap exercise, and don't forget what I just said, that the circulatory system is a serious problem in Mexico because of certain illnesses related to the circulatory system, usually affected because what we eat, and also what we breathe. If you smoke, it also affects the circulatory system, but in a lesser extent. So let's have a look at this video.
Is located slightly left of center in your chest. Your heart is divided into the right and left side. The division protects oxygen-rich blood from mixing with oxygen-poor blood. Together, your heart and blood vessels comprise your cardiovascular system, which circulates blood and oxygen around your body. In fact, your heart pumps about 5 quarts of blood every minute, and it beats about 100,000 times in one day. That's about 35 million times in a year. Oxygen-poor blood, blue blood, returns to the heart after circulating through your body. The right side of the heart, composed of the right atrium and ventricle, collects and pumps the blood to the lungs through the pulmonary arteries. The lungs refresh the blood with a new supply of oxygen, making it turn red. Oxygen-rich blood, red blood, then enters the left side of the heart, composed of the left atrium and ventricle, and is pumped through the aorta to the body to supply tissues with oxygen. 4 valves within your heart keep your blood moving the right way. The tricuspid, mitral, pulmonary, and aortic valves work like gates on a fence. They open only one way and only when pushed on. Each valve opens and closes once per heartbeat, or about once every second. A beating heart contracts and relaxes. Contraction is called systole, and relaxing is called diastole. During systole, your ventricles contract, forcing blood into the vessels going to your lungs and body, much like ketchup being forced out of a squeeze bottle. The right ventricle contracts a little bit before the left ventricle does. Your ventricles then relax during diastole and are filled with blood coming from the upper chambers, the left and right atria. Then the cycle starts over again. Your heart is nourished by blood too. Blood vessels called coronary arteries extend over the surface of your heart and branch into smaller capillaries. Here you can see just the network of blood vessels that feed your heart with oxygen-rich blood. Your heart also has electrical wiring, which keeps it beating. Electrical impulses begin high in the right atrium and travel through specialized pathways to the ventricles, delivering the signal to pump. The conduction system keeps your heart beating in a coordinated and normal rhythm, which in turn keeps blood circulating. The continuous exchange of oxygen-rich blood with oxygen-poor blood is what keeps you alive.
Teacher, you're on mute.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Isabella. Let's do the fill in the gap exercise to have a look what you already know about this this circulatory system. Bigger? Oh no. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and I hope everybody can participate. I'm going to pick you out to see if you're really there and if you really paid attention. So I just follow my screen. So I see all of you in my screen. So I just pick you one by one, how you are accommodated in my screen. So Emilio Maraquin, the first one is for you. Clumping of red blood cells due to a reaction between antigens on red blood plasma membranes and antibodies in the plasma. So clumping, what would that be? And here you have the list of the options from 1 to 28.
Could you lower it just a little bit? Because I can't see the ones. Okay, thank you, thank you.
It's a difficult one already because we haven't seen that yet.
Is it 11, clotting?
Yeah, clotting could be fine. Yeah.
Woo!
Well done. Okay. Gustavo, you're the second one on my screen. Protein produced in response to the presence of an antigen.
Let me just look at the possible answers. Antibodies?
Yeah, could be, but which number is it? 12, okay.
Yeah, 12.
12, well done. Process of blood coagulation, usually when injury occurs. Which one would that be? Luis Favela?
Yes, teacher. Let me switch it here. Agglutination.
Yeah, in fact, we have to switch it because when I look at the definitions, they would be both okay, but in fact, the clumping of red blood cells do an antigen and an antibody. This would be more agglutination. So I would this put 8, and I would this call 11. It's very close, guys. So don't worry if you would have it on the exam. It's okay. Because this is a very small difference, but that's how is the better answer. So iron containing pigment in red blood cells that contribute with and that combines with and transports oxygen. Oliver, you're the next. We have seen that already several times.
1, hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin. Okay, very good. It's a super important protein that binds oxygen, and that's even the reason why our red blood cells do not have a nucleus. Liquid portion of the blood that contains nutrients, waste, salts, and proteins. So it's everything of the blood without the cells. How do we call that for Leonella?
Wait, teacher, I'm reading.
Okay.
Plasma. Number 2.
Plasma, yeah, very good. Component of blood that is necessary to blood clotting, also called a thrombocyte. Little bit more difficult, Valentina. Let's see if you know.
Number 19.
19. Yeah, very good, dear. Platelet. It's indeed platelet. It's like the blood platelets, and they are involved in blood clotting as well. Structure of the heart between the left atrium and the left ventricle. So we're talking about a certain valve on the left side. This is for Valentina. On the left side. How do we call the valve on the left side?
The 13.
No, that's on the right side. So always look at the heart in the position of the patient. So on the right side is the tricuspid valve. On the left side, it's the
27.
Yeah, very good. The mitral valve. Very good. 27. What is the formed element that contains hemoglobin and carries oxygen from the lungs to the tissues, also called erythrocyte? This is for Ana Pao. What do we call erythrocytes?
Let me find it. 22. No.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
22. 22 is correct. It's the red blood cell. Very good, Ana Pao. Daniela, you're next. Type of blood cell that is transparent without staining and protects the body from invasion by foreign substances and organisms, also called leukocytes. We have seen that in the beginning of the course. You should know that one.
White blood cells, number 3.
Perfect, white blood cells. Then next, Vanessa, major systemic artery that receives blood from the left ventricle. Okay, so the left ventricle, it receives blood from the left ventricle.
The aorta.
No, because the aorta doesn't receive blood, it moves blood away. So if we're on the left side, it's a vein. So we're looking at a vein, in fact. Systemic artery, because yeah, it's a big one, but it's receiving, that receives blood from, I'm sorry, I think from the left ventricle. No, you're right, sorry. Yeah, it receives blood from the left ventricle. Yeah, you're right, because I understood it different, that the left ventricle receives the blood, but it's not true. You're right, it's for aorta. This is the artery that receives the blood. Very good, sorry for the confusion. Now, a vessel that takes blood from an artery to the capillaries. This is for, where are we? Isabella?
Would it be 23 arterial?
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, the type of circulation that occurs between the digestive organs and the liver. This is for, it's difficult. Cecia, it's for you. Did you go, Isabella? Yes, I told you already, right?
Yes.
Okay. Cecia, do you know what that is? The type of circulation that occurs between the digestive organs and the liver? So remember about the digestive system that I told you, that all the blood from the digestive system is first filtered through the liver. And there is like a special vein that brings all this blood to the liver. How do we call that? What do you think? If you don't know?
The 20 hepatic.
Yes, very good. The hepatic portal system. Yeah. Vessel that takes blood away from the heart to arterioles, characteristically processing 3 walls, smooth muscle, connective tissue, and epithelium. So, what is that? It's for Rafael. What do you think that is?
Atria?
Sorry?
Or 24. Artery.
Arteries. Okay, very good. Arteries is
24.
24. The upper heart chambers of the heart, Carlos?
I don't know if it's atria.
Atriums, yeah, very good.
Okay.
Atria.
14.
So 14. Force of blood pushing against the inside of the inside wall of an artery. Easy one, I think. Tamara, can you tell me what that is?
5, blood pressure.
Yeah, of course, blood pressure, very good. What is the microscopic vessel connecting arterioles to venules? Exchange of substances between blood and tissue fluid occurs across their thin walls. So this is really where the gas exchange happens between the blood and the tissue. So it's the smallest vessels we have, let's say. So this is for Andrea, please.
Ventricle?
No, The smallest vessel, so the little blood veins that you have, how do we call that? The pulmonary vein.
7.
Yes, that's good. That are the capillaries. Very good, dear. The lower chambers of the heart, Ana Sofia, Roman?
The lower chamber.
We have two of them.
Ventricle.
Yeah, very good, ventricles. One complete cycle of systole and diastole of all heart chambers. How do we call that, Santiago? So the complete cycle of contraction and relaxation, because the systole or the systole is the contraction, the diastole is the relaxation. So one cycle, how do we call that?
I'm gonna go with cardiac cycle.
Yeah, of course. This is number...
It's 16.
Yeah. Relaxation period of a heart chamber during the cardiac cycle. So I just said that. Please tell me, Soju. What do you think, Sergio? I just said, so when the heart contracts and relaxes. When it contracts, we call it systole. So when it relaxes, we call that Soju, any idea?
18.
Yeah, very good. Diastole. Okay. The muscular organ located in the thoracic cavity whose rhythmic contractions maintain blood circulation? Very simple. Ana Sofia Villanueva, what is that? How do we call that?
Number 6, the heart.
Yes. Do you hear very loud my son crying or not too much?
Not that much.
Okay, because he got burned and we have to treat him, but it's really bad. The blood vessel that takes blood away from the heart to the lungs, how do we call this? Adam, please.
Is it the venue?
The blood vessel that takes from the heart to the lungs, no venules or smaller, a bit bigger as the venule?
Artery?
No. Let's see if... yeah, we call that artery, but we already have artery, but this is called a bit different.
Atria?
Yeah, I think it's called no. So what is the thing we call, I'm going to tell you, it's the pulmonary vein, okay? Because the pulmonary vein is the exception because it's the vein that brings the blood from the heart to the, or no, that's not true. It's not the pulmonary vein. The pulmonary vein brings it to the heart back. It's the pulmonary artery. Yeah, that's the one. The artery, that's the difference between arteries and veins, okay? Arteries, they bring away, so the arteries, they bring the blood from the heart to the organs, and the veins, they bring from the organs to the heart. That's the difference. There are some more differences, which we will see later, but that's the main difference. So the blood vessel that takes blood from the lungs to the heart, so this goes from organ to the heart. Guillermo?
17.
No, we just had the pulmonary artery because it's from the heart to the organ is artery, and from the organ to the heart we call that vein. So if we talk about the lungs, how do we call that?
Atria? I don't know.
No, the pulmonary vein. The small region of neuromuscular tissue that initiates the heartbeat, also called the pacemaker. Ivan? It's a difficult one. Maybe you know, maybe not. If you don't know, just...
It is the sinoatrial node.
Okay, perfect. Well done. What are the blood vessels that transport blood from the left ventricle back to the right atrium of the heart? Anybody knows? Because we are here. Anybody can answer because I got everybody already.
The systole?
No.
Number 23.
Arteriole, yeah. Yeah, could be. They are definitely a part of it. Maybe we leave it open to see what it will be in a moment. Contraction period of the heart during the cardiac cycle.
Systole.
Systole, very good. In fact, I leave the previous one open because there's several options, and let's see what's the best one. Systole, so this would be systole. Which number is it, Anapa? I don't see it immediately.
25.
Okay, yeah, there it is. Okay, vessel that takes blood from capillaries to vein. There we have that one, from capillaries to veins. These are?
Venules.
Venules, very good. We will see that also in a moment. You're doing really well, guys. You know a lot already. The structure of the heart between the right atrium and the right ventricle, how do we call that?
13. 3 cuspid valve.
There you have it. So the one that we didn't answer, what would that be? The blood vessels. I don't like it because it's in fact not only blood.
Arterioles. The circulatory system.
Circulatory system. Yeah, very good. Okay, there we go. Okay, good exercise, guys. I think you already know a lot. Again, I'm going to use my own presentation because I believe it's a little bit more complete than the one you find in Canvas. However, I checked the one in Canvas. It's okay. It's nice. It has some good videos in it.
Teacher.
Yes, dear?
Could you share the screen again? I was about to take a screenshot of it.
Ah, okay. Yeah, anyway, I upload.
Like just to have it.
Yeah, I always upload it in the videos as well. So you will have it anyway. You can check it on YouTube afterwards. But yeah, screenshot is nice. I can even share the document with you if you really would like to have it. Sharing is caring. Okay. So there we go. We're going to have a look at the heart chamber, the structures, the valves, the blood vessels, the heartbeat, and how this circulation happens. And then, of course, in the end, we will have a look at blood. And then in the very, very end, we will have a look at all the pathologies that exist around the circulatory system. So we have seen in the video that it's about 5 liters of blood that is always traveling through your body. Depends on the person. If you're tall and you have about 5 liters, if you're a bit smaller, you might have 4.5 liters or 4 liters. My daughter is 7. She might have 3.5 liters. If you're really, really big, you might have a bit more. So it really depends on the size of your body. Like we said, a heart looks like this. It looks like a fist, more or less. And what is even nice that if you have these emotions, you know, these emotions, maybe we can do it even in here. Where are they? These emotions, you know, that you have the heart and stuff, you know? Do you know how they are?
No.
But yes, you can do that in Zoom. You could put like a heart on the screen and stuff like that.
Ah, yeah, okay.
A ver, send me one.
That.
Yeah, okay. So this heart, look at my screen. It looks a little bit like that. You see, it is not an invention. The heart looks a little bit like it if you see it like that. So the heart looks a little bit like it, you know, more or less. This is the aorta, so this you wouldn't take that into account, but you can see more or less that where the emotion comes from, or the symbol of heart, where does that come from? Okay, so it's a pump. Now I don't know how to remove that. Yeah, well, so it's a pump. It's located exactly between the lungs, and it's located a little bit to the left. Okay, and that's why, in fact, our left lung is a little bit smaller because of that. It has like 3 lobes. This one and this one has only 2 lobes, and that's because of the aorta. And sometimes people think that your heart is on the left, but that's not true. Your heart is exactly in the middle, and it looks to be on the left because that's where the aorta goes, and that's where you feel your heartbeat the strongest. Okay. So like we have seen the heart, I mean, I tried, anybody knows how to get rid of this drawing? I don't know how to get rid of it.
I think you need to go to Zoom, teacher, to delete it.
How to do it?
In the upper part, in
Like
view
going-
options.
Where it says compartir pantalla, you go to options and then anotar, and then grab the eraser and just delete it.
Or erase everything.
Mira vos. That's nice. Okay. Yeah, I was doubting if I painted it with the PowerPoint or with Zoom, but it was with Zoom. Anyway, so we were here. The right side is deoxygenated blood, typically represented as as blue, and the left side is typically shown like red because it's oxygenated, and that's really what you see. You know, when the blood gets oxygenated by the lungs, you see that the color changes. The heart has 4 chambers. Okay. It has on the top, it has the right and the left atrium. You have to see that in the position of the patient, you know, because this would be our left side, but for the patient it's the right side. So this is the right, left, and left. Okay. I always ask my students, okay, you have the right atrium, the right ventricle, and their loops. You have the pulmonary circle and you have the circulatory circle. Okay, or system, and you have those valves between it, the pulmonary valve, the mitral valve, the aortic valve. So the aortic valve, the blood goes and it arrives right here in the right atrium, and then here you have the pulmonary valve, it goes to the lungs, and the lungs, then it arrives in the left atrium. So this is one loop and that's the other loop. Okay. But why do you think we have 2 chambers? Why would there not be just one chamber? Why is it useful to have a tricuspid valve and an aorta valve between the 2 chambers? Anybody knows?
To create pressure.
Yeah, very good, Emilio. It's exactly that. And not only pressure, what else?
Circulation.
Yeah, it's to have a constant volume, because basically what you have is a pump, and the heart will beat only when the right ventricle is full, and then always the same volume is pumped through the body, and you can only achieve that by having 2 chambers, you know, one to build up volume, and then the second one to build up the pressure and the volume. In fact, they work both together, you know. It's for pressure and volume to have this a little bit constant, because your heart cannot pump whatever, you know. It's basically the first chamber, it fills, and the valve will only open when the volume and the pressure is the right one. And then when it opens, it will fill the right ventricle, and then you are assured that you have the correct volume and the correct pressure before sending it to the organs. That's the reason. Okay. Our heart itself, guys, as well needs oxygen and nutrients. And that's why our heart has its own special arteries. And those arteries, we call that the coronary arteries. They branch off the aorta. And it's in fact, the heart gives itself the oxygenated blood first to itself. So that's really well done of the heart. It goes from the aorta directly. The first oxygenated blood is for the heart itself, because the heart believes that he's doing or she is doing the most important function, which is giving oxygen to the organs. And if it doesn't give it first to itself, of course, it cannot do it to the rest. So that's a very good thing. You know that coronary heart disease is a very serious issue. It's when those arteries of the heart itself gets clogged, and then you can get heart like infarcts, you know, of the heart. The heart itself as well has the same membranes like we have seen in the lungs, we have seen in the digestive system. We have the pericardium, okay, which is the membrane around the heart. We have the endocardium is on the inside of the heart, and the lining on the inside, like you can see here. And the myocardium is basically the muscle itself, okay? It's the thickest layer. The valves, we have seen them already. You have to know those valves. It's very simple. We have the tricuspid valve because it looks like 3 half moons. We have the mitral valve. The only thing you have to not to confuse is which is right and which is left. So make sure that you know these valves, okay? And then the blood vessels. So basically we have arteries. They leave from the heart. So here is the heart. Maybe I can try it again. So here, if it should say here, in fact, heart without H. The heart gives arteries. So leaving from the heart are the arteries. The arteries, they become arterioles, like you can see here. It's arteries that are a little bit thinner. And the arterioles, they become capillaries. And that's what you see here. On the capillary level, there is the oxygenated blood becomes deoxygenated blood because it's giving off the oxygen to the organs, and it's absorbing, and it's giving also nutrients, and it's absorbing the carbon dioxide. So then it becomes deoxygenated. And from the moment it becomes deoxygenated, we call it venules. There are no arteries anymore because it leaves the organs. We get first venules and then become veins. And when the veins, they go to the heart. There are some differences between arteries and veins. Arteries have smooth muscle. Veins have less smooth muscle. And the veins, they have valves. And the valves of the veins are necessary in order for the blood not to flow back to the organs, okay? Arteries, they don't have valves because the pressure is high enough. They don't need valves, okay? Questions about this?
No.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's not so hard, in fact. So here we have it. Arteries carry the blood away from the heart to the capillary. They have high blood pressure and smooth muscle, okay? The capillaries, this is not an accident. They are red and then they become blue because of the oxygenation, okay? So nutrient exchange, and they do the gas exchange, okay? And then the veins, they return the blood through the heart. They have lower blood pressure and they have no smooth muscle, or are very, very little, okay? And the capillaries, that's exactly what I just said, nutrient exchange, and gas exchange. You know that this is what we call the internal respiration, because it's the gas exchange between the organs and the vessels, okay? So here are some more differences. Artery, you can see the difference. The valve, you see here the typical thick, smooth muscle. No or very little smooth muscle, okay? And the arteries, they are thicker. The veins are smaller. High blood pressure, lower blood pressure, okay? Same thing again. You see here, blood goes through the capillaries and flows back, okay?
Teacher, when they, like, for example, when we're sick or whatever, and they take out our blood to make analysis, do they take it from like a vein or an artery?
Always from the veins.
Okay.
Always from the veins. It's too dangerous to go do needles in your arteries because it might bleed a lot. Moreover, you would need a very long needle because you can look at your arm or something. I don't know, you can see mine a little bit. The veins, they flow on the surface right under the skin, let's say, in the muscles. So they're way more on the surface than the arteries are. And that's a good thing. The arteries, they are more hidden in our body. If you have the arteries of your arms and the arteries of your legs, they're more they're deeper inside the body to protect ourselves. The arteries that are the closest to the surface are the ones right here in the arm when it goes to the hand. That's why you can feel your pulse here. And the other arteries that you can feel quite easily is the one in the neck. So if you have your trachea here, your wind tube, you go to the side and you push here, you could feel your artery that feeds your head, okay? That goes to your brain and to your eyes and all your head, in fact. So that's why we take our heartbeat in those two places mainly, because that's the only two places where we can easily feel our heartbeat. If in the legs, inside the body, they're all too deep, you cannot feel it. However, sometimes I feel if you're hurt or something, sometimes you can feel your heartbeat in weird places like your thumb or in your face or in your head somewhere. It's very funny how that works. So guys, this is something you also have to know. We're still at the heart. We don't see the full system yet, but you have to know the main veins and the main arteries that are connected to the heart. So the aorta, you know that's our main artery, okay? And then we have a pulmonary artery. What is interesting about the pulmonary artery, this is the only artery that carries deoxygenated blood. All the rest carries oxygenated blood, okay? So that's the exception because it goes to the lung in order to get oxygenated. And as a consequence, the pulmonary vein, which arrives right here, is the only vein that carries oxygenated blood because it comes from the lung, okay? And then here, we call this the vena cava, okay? Superior, this is the inferior. So the vena cava is what brings the blood back to the heart, okay? So superior vena cava goes here and the inferior one. They are connected to each other. They both empty they both arrive to the right atrium. And then here we have the pulmonary atrium that brings the blood back, okay? Is that clear, guys? So aorta
Yes.
goes to the organs, or brings oxygenated blood to the organs, and then the deoxygenated blood arrives to the vena cava, superior and inferior, and arrive in the right atrium, okay? So here in the right ventricle, we have the pulmonary artery that brings the blood to the lungs, and then the pulmonary vein arrives back here to the left atrium. We will see it in a second, the loops in a better way, okay? So this is more or less the same.
Mr. And the unoxygenated blood gets oxygenated while in the lungs, and then it returns to the heart.
Yeah, we're going to see that in the system. We're still talking about the heart, but that will be for tomorrow because it's almost time. The last thing I want to show you is here that how the heartbeat works. We have like nerves in our heart, which we call the SA node and the AV node. So this means sinus atria node and the atrioventricle node. And this is like some other nerves that we call Purkinje fibers, and they make the whole heart contract, okay? So it's just the nerve cells that arrive in the heart and that are controlled involuntarily and that generate the heartbeat, okay? You know that the heart can beat faster and slower, and this is all controlled by these different nodes. So the node SA is sinus atria node. It makes the right atrium contract. When this one contracts, it activates the AV node, which we call atrioventricle node. And this sends, in fact, the signal to the Purkinje fibers so that the whole ventricles can contract at the same time, okay? Okay, so I think this is enough for today. The rest will be for tomorrow and for Friday. So tomorrow we will see the cycles. And then on Friday, we will have a look tomorrow will be the cycles and how blood is, how blood works. And then on Friday, it will be mainly the cardiovascular disorders, okay? So if there's no more questions, we see each other tomorrow, okay?
Bye, Mr. Thank you.
Bye, Mr.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Mr. Thank you.